Before I ever learned how to move through the wilderness alone, I learned how to live beside animals that understood me. And some of the first animals that ever truly listened were the German shepherds that guarded the canyon where I grew up. Growing up in that canyon, I spent as much time with those dogs as I did with people. And somehow, they always seemed to understand exactly what I was saying. Over the years, 8 German shepherds lived in that canyon, 8 guardians of our wild little home. But the story of those dogs really begins before I was even born. The first shepherd was named Jackson. My dad loved that dog. Jackson was famous in our family for one strange skill. He could climb ladders. But Jackson also had a habit of wandering. A small woods community sat a few miles away, and sometimes he would disappear down the road toward it. One evening, my dad was driving home through that community with my brothers in the truck, and suddenly, Jackson leapt down an embankment directly into the road, right in front of the headlights. There was no time to stop. My dad hit him. He quickly got out of his truck and ran to Jackson, who died right there in his arms. My dad was devastated. After that, he decided we would have only female shepherds. He believed the females stayed closer to home. And in the canyon, home mattered. The next shepherd was Cleo. Cleo was gentle in a way that still stands out in my memory. Quiet, kind, the sort of dog that would simply sit beside you, steady and calm, like she understood more than she let on. After Cleo came Jenny. Jenny was different, sharp, alert. She was the best guard dog we ever had. Nothing entered that canyon without Jenny knowing about it. Jenny later had a daughter named Hannah, and Hannah was my dog. I was just a kid, but somehow we understood each other. I used to look into those dog eyes, and I knew I wasn't just looking at an animal. There was a mind there, a presence, a soul. If I cried, they came to me. Every time. They would sit beside me, sometimes pressing their bodies against me like they were trying to absorb the sadness. Over time, I learned their habits, and they learned my voice. Most of the time, I didn't need commands. I would just talk to them, and they understood. Sometimes I didn't even need words. I could whisper a quiet psst, and one of the shepherds would appear beside me. It's hard to explain a loyalty like that. Those dogs were fierce protectors of our canyon home. But more than that, they gave me something that followed me for the rest of my life. A deep sense of safety in the wild. Later, when I was older and working as a forester, walking alone through miles of forest, that feeling was still there. I belonged. Growing up in that canyon, I learned something important. When you live close to animals long enough, you begin to understand each other. Of all the shepherds that lived in our canyon, one of them was different. Her name was Luna. Luna had encounters with rattlesnakes, javelinas, mountain lions, and even a bear. Her life in that canyon was legendary. But Luna's story deserves its own telling, and I will tell you about her another time. These days, I have a German shepherd of my own, the first shepherd who has truly been mine. My daughter calls her Little Sissy, even though the dog is already much bigger than she is. She's one of the smartest shepherds I've ever known. And sometimes, when I speak to her the same way I spoke to those dogs growing up in the canyon, she understands. Some things don't change, even after many years, even after the canyon changes, even after we grow up.